Welcome, everyone, to Monday, August 28th, 2017 meeting of the Medfield School Committee. We were just in executive session to discuss contract negotiations as stated in MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21-2, a teacher grievance. On the agenda tonight, we have the reorganization of school committee, which we are going to table until the next meeting on September 18th, because we have two people missing tonight. So we'll table that. We have public input, the approval of minutes from June 5th, 2017. For new business, we have the Bay Circuit Trail License Agreement. We have Mark Sorrell here to present to us tonight. We have facility update, staffing changes, AFL-CIO custodial group contract vote. Old business, we have donations. We have the superintendent's report to the committee, which is the opening of the school year, enrollment, and the Dale Street MSBA meeting. And we also, for future agenda items, we have the student activity policy, the wellness policy, fiscal year 17 closeout, and the principal opening reports that evening. So for public input, does anyone have anything for us this evening? Okay. So we will welcome, the approval of the minutes from June 5th.
I move to approve the minutes of June 5th, 2017.
Second? Okay, approved.
Right.
So the first item on our agenda tonight is the Bay Circuit Trail License Agreement. We have Mark Sorrell here tonight. Thank you for coming.
Welcome, and it's a pleasure to be here. Since I don't typically come here, I don't know what the protocol is as far as.
We usually have a podium. I don't know if
Yeah,
does he
podium.
need a microphone too?
Or do
Microphone?
As long as the mic's live.
Okay.
I think,
just flip it around. We're good.
hopefully this isn't new to you, but maybe you could tell me. I sent a memo back in January. Did it find its way to you?
I'm trying to think. Did we get
Yeah,
the memo?
we got it.
We've
Yeah.
got, yeah.
Okay, so basically, first of all, I'm Mark Sorrell. I'm the Medfield Town Attorney or Town Council. The Bay Circuit Trail has been around for 20-plus years. And originally was conceived as modeled after the Appalachian Trail, and it was conceived as a network of trails with a main trail and spurs starting up on the North Shore, coming all the way around and ending on the South Shore. And they've been attempting to acquire rights over the years, and the trail has passed through Medfield for most of that time, along with some spurs to it. The Bay Circuit Alliance is the nonprofit organization that actually is responsible for the trail system now, and they approached the town about a year ago seeking to formalize the arrangement by which the trail traversed the town. And there was discussion with the town administrator and the Board of Selectmen, and ultimately it was determined that the town would be willing to, in terms of the Board of Selectmen, grant a license. Anything more than a license would require a town meeting action. But a license is basically permission, revocable permission to use. And it can be in the form of a written document, and in fact, I prepared such, ran it by the Board of Selectmen, and they were in agreement in principle to support this. And the way real estate goes in the town, as you know, as school committee people, you have care, custody, and control of school property. While there are other town boards and commissions that have care, custody, and control of other portions of town land. So it ends up in this case as 5 or 6 different town boards and commissions that the trail traverses their properties. And so we've started the somewhat arduous task of getting everybody to sign on, after which we will then have the alliance sign and then bring it back for the Board of Selectmen to sign on behalf of everybody. And again, although it's formalized in writing, as I said, it's a license. It really just is bare permission to use the property. If any problems arise, it can be revoked by any of the boards or commissions who are granting their authority now. So it really doesn't really restrict the town very much. And with me tonight is Denny Nakany, who is the local person.
The fly likes you.
Nice. Nice. This has never happened to me at a Board of Selectmen's meeting, okay?
Buy $10 to do that.
You have a fan.
So, Jesus, it's a monster horsefly,
Yeah, yeah.
and you've got them
You brought
back
them
there
in.
right now.
Oh, yes.
Oh, jeez.
I hope there aren't any animal rights people in the audience that are offended. Anyway, Denny Nakany is the representative from the Bay Circuit Alliance. He's been spearheading it. He's responsible for a number of towns, including Medfield, and I asked him to be here tonight in case there were any questions. So that's kind of the brief overview. I did supply Superintendent Marsden with Google aerial showing where the trail goes now. And as far as any of your areas, we're not creating anything new. This is where it goes at the present. The only places there is a change is the other side of town on town land that up in the Medfield State Hospital area. So,
Aren't there signs back there already saying that this is the Bay Circuit Trail on the way
That's
back?
correct,
Yeah,
yes.
behind
Yeah.
Wheelock,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a marked trail. It's been
Yeah.
in place for over 20 years.
you want to pick that up at home?
Yeah, it's a marked trail, and we have Bay Circuit Trail markers
Okay.
along the route. And it's been in existence for 20 years now.
Is there anywhere where there's a list of enumerated uses of the trail? Or do you know what all the uses of the trail are?
Mainly the use of the trail is for people that just walk on it. I know that the section in question on the back of the Wheelock School is heavily used by residents and dog walkers, kids on bicycles and so forth. So it is an existing, route that people do take. And it goes along the paved driveway that parallels the railroad tracks. So the trail essentially crosses 27 at the power line and cuts through town land to get over to the railroad track. Then it goes across the railroad crossing there and then follows that paved drive that goes back to the parking lot on Elm Street.
So it's non-vehicular, no motorcycle.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
No four-wheelers or anything like that?
No, nothing. It's just walking. Yeah.
I don't know, do you allow mountain
Horses?
bike type?
Yeah, mountain bikes are permitted. Anything that's non-motorized is permitted.
Non-motorized, so it's
Yeah.
technically no dirt bikes, that's.
No dirt bikes.
And the license agreement limits the use. So
I have,
they're only permitted to do it for the purposes contained in the license.
I have two questions.
I know.
The first question is I'm looking at the Bay Circuit website and the maps. It looks as though Wheelock is marked as a designated parking area. Am I correct in that?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was arranged for back probably 15, 20 years ago.
Okay. And the other thing I think is more of kind of a speculative, future-looking question around if we were to ever receive funding or cost sharing for a new elementary school. Would, and I'm only remembering this from being on the Superintendent Advisory Committee with Dr. McGuire, would there be any change in our feelings about where the Bay Circuit Trail cuts through if there were to be a building that were perhaps behind Wheelock or in that area, which is what Dr. McGuire had been talking about, but I really haven't spoken about placement since that point, so I don't know.
So the conversations I've had with the Permanent Building Committee have really, if you're looking at the map, have focused the building where that baseball diamond is, in
Okay.
that area there. So taking some of that field on the left, not the larger field on the far right,
Okay.
near the trail.
Okay.
So that was where they had looked at, and again, that
Okay.
could change, but I think that was the area they were focused on.
So we're completely free. We could revoke permission for any reason or no reason. We could relocate if need be. So again, this is the loosest of frameworks. And it apparently satisfies the alliance. They at least have something in writing, and so
Right.
there's
I
no
simply-
real downside to the town as far as I'm concerned.
I wanted to make sure that I knew specifically what we were talking about, what the future implications might be, so, great.
And our
people use it
DPW still has
constantly.
access back there, correct? They go there a bunch, I think they go.
Yeah, I think
they-
there's a well.
Right, so they go back there, okay.
And why does the Alliance want, why are they gathering all this permission? They're just trying to preserve the trail? What's the purpose of?
Well, the purpose of it is really to establish a relationship with the property owners so that they know that the trail is going through there and that they've given permission for the trail to go through the property as well as be able to be mapped and to be part of our trail system in the guides, the trail guides. So we just want to make sure that, we have a good relationship with the property owners.
The critical thing is, this is evidence that anyone using the trail is not trespassing. It's written evidence that this permission, albeit in a very broad sense, to traverse private property or public property for a personal reason.
Would it be helpful to the school department at all to be able to have signage along that side of the Wheelock thing, saying, this is permission given for Bay Street Trail users, or, sort of there's
Yeah, I
a
think especially on
designation around that?
where the red line goes, that area over there, that parking would be, in our mind, restricted to that section of the parking lot and not closer to Wheelock. I think that would be appropriate for us. Does that make sense to do it, to park in that direction? So you're not parking, if you're coming in, if you're looking at the actual soccer fields, it's the far left, that area there, which actually the trail goes right down. To us, that would be.
We could specify that in our.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
And there's nothing in kind of the bylaws of the Bay Circuit Trail, like in perpetuity. Is there something in perpetuity that this is how it's to be used, like the enumerated uses, as opposed to this could change, like we grant you this, obviously it's revocable, but that if we grant this licensing agreement, and I'm thinking of, you use it for 20 years and all of a sudden you've given your permission to.
Bless you.
No, if you're giving permission, you can't have adverse possession.
Okay,
First of all,
that's
it's very restrictive to be able to obtain
Okay.
it against a municipal or governmental authority to begin with. Virtually
Okay.
impossible if it's a defined area.
Okay,
So that's number one. Number two, if you get adverse possession or prescriptive use, it's based on not having permission, using it in defiance of
Okay.
permission. So
that's what I'm wondering, if,
Yeah. by giving permission, it's never going to accrue.
okay. Well, I also just I don't want to, I'm just worried that, like, if you give too much, if you give permission and it's encroaching on our school property, are we, acquiescing to another use of that trail?
I don't believe
Just
so.
by
That will
using it
not
for a length of
happen.
time? Okay,
I don't see that happening at all in the future.
okay.
And again, if we have problems, there's certainly an open line of communication, which we would try in the first instance, and I have every reason to believe that would be productive, but if it weren't, then ultimately, we have the right to change our mind.
Okay.
What do you need from the
So-
committee tonight, Laura?
Right.
I would ask for a vote, and then I have one copy of this, which I would ask that, assuming it's hopefully a positive vote, that you would then all sign it, and then we can pass it on if there's others still that need to act.
I think it would be good to look at what you have before we voted on this.
Sure.
And then we could take a vote as early as September 18th, but I'd like to look at what you have before we just voted on the trail.
When you say what I have, what?
Well, you said you have something for us
Something
to
for us to
look at
sign.
and for us all to sign. What is?
Oh, that was actually part of my memo back in January. It hadn't changed since then, so that's simply the license agreement. There was a copy attached to the memo back in January. So we can certainly get more copies to the superintendent to
Yeah, I think that would be
Yeah.
a good
Is
idea.
that,
We
how
can
is that
kind
with
of-
your timeline, if they vote on the
Yeah.
18th, is that an issue, or?
Hey, it's only been a year.
Right.
What's a few more weeks?
Yeah.
Couple weeks.
Well, obviously, we'd like to get it done sooner rather than later,
Yeah.
because we still need Park and Rec, and then the Alliance needs to sign, and the Board of Selectmen needs to sign, so, but whatever your wishes are.
Yeah, I think it would be good to have that licensing agreement and to take a look at it before we voted, so, and then we'll put it on the agenda for a vote for the next meeting.
I'll drop off a copy tomorrow with Dr. Marsden's office.
Thank you, thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you very
Thank you very
much.
much for your presentation.
Thanks.
Yep. Immediate.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the facility update.
Madam Chair, Michael is here to give us an update. We've had a lot of projects going on this summer, as we always do, and he'll give you a rundown of those projects, and then any questions. Oh, you need a microphone. Any questions you have, he'll certainly be able to answer.
So first, I want to thank Jerry McCarty, our new facilities director. We were very busy this summer trying to get the buildings ready for today, which was the teachers' opening day. We had a lot of capital projects, but we also had summer projects that we worked on, so I'm just going to go over them by section. The first one was we had repairs for the different schools, roofs. So we did roof repairs at Dale Street, Memorial, Middle School, High School, and Wheelock, and that was funded through the capital funding. We still have some more repairs. When the contractor went up, they found some more repairs that need to be allocated for fiscal year 19 for Dale Street. So you're going to see that in our capital request moving forward. We need to put some snow guards at Dale Street above some of the entrances. So that's something that we're going to be requesting as we move forward. At Wheelock, we had 2 classrooms that we replaced tiles. That project came in, again, on time and on budget. We removed asbestos, and then we replaced those tiles in those 2 rooms.
And that's been on the capital for 3 years?
This
was
was
the
third
first
year.
time it was
Correct.
funded, yeah.
And there's a couple other classrooms that we want to get done as we move forward at Wheelock. We also had at Wheelock, we did some HVAC and plumbing repairs at Wheelock, where we had, I'm not going to go into the detail, but we had some valves that weren't working because they hadn't been replaced in the last 20 to 25 years, which made it more difficult if we had a situation to shut down an area of the school. So that was done during the summertime. The same situation at Dale Street, just valves that had to be replaced. They weren't working, they were frozen, and we took care of those. We had plumbing work at the middle school. We did a lot of HVAC repairs at the middle school. There were AC units that weren't working properly, and we got those done.
And
over
the
summer.
HVAC at both the high school and the middle school continue to be a challenge for us. The regulation, the system, the controls that, Jerry's finding a lot of issues with that, and he's been doing a great job, but as he finds and solves one, another one pops up. We call it whack-a-mole, because he solves it, and something else comes up. It's an older system, and
Is
I
there
think
AC at Blake?
There isn't.
in certain areas, the
areas.
library, the office,
Ah.
so certain places that they see.
Certain places.
Gotcha.
So we're addressing those issues. The major issue is the control system, which we're working but there's a grant out there that we're working with to receive to help us as we move forward to changing our control system so we're able to manage them better. But we're also going to see a small request that's not covered through the grant that's going to come through the capital so we can get that done. Again, at the high school, we worked on a lot of the HVAC issues, as Dr. Marsden indicated. We had also we did some repairs to the Dale Street boiler. There were steam traps that were blocked, so we had to replace those steam traps, and that was done over the summer.
It's on the new boiler, is that an adjunct system that was not as new as the,
So, yeah,
Current
so
boiler.
it's, that building is steam, so the way that the heating system works is through steam.
right,
There's steam traps every, few feet that have to be replaced and
Okay.
hadn't been replaced.
okay, so it has nothing to do with the capital project that we did?
Correct,
Okay.
yes. And then other projects that weren't part of the capital, but were stuff that we did over the summer, were the Jail Street cafeteria was painted, so that was sanded and painted. We
And all the old tables are removed. So
And all
remember,
the
if you went there, all those old tables that are in the walls?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are all taken out, painted, that area was painted, and then all student artwork's all gonna be placed in there, so.
Oh, nice.
It's gonna look really nice.
At Memorial, we finally installed the new gazebo, which is actually
Yeah.
Great.
It looks great. We worked on some new wiring between the press box and the concession stand at the high school. Installed new power at the high school for certain areas. We still have electricians coming in tomorrow morning to finish the athletic trainers area, so that will be completed tomorrow. We converted an area in the nurse's office, so we created a second office at the high school in the nurse's office for student privacy. And then, landscaping-wise, we had to remove a few trees in the Dale Street area that were dead, so we had to replace those, remove those. And our final project, which we are hoping to complete this weekend, is the high school gym floor. We just sanded and painting it this week and getting that ready for the volleyball season.
And completely repainted too, all the lines repainted, the middle repainted, everything, so, that's, that's been a really exciting project for our kids to see that. Robert's been putting some stuff out on Twitter. We were hoping this would be done by Wednesday, but we're crossing our fingers by next Tuesday it'll be done. They're gonna work all weekend to get it done, but it's gonna look really nice when it's done, really sharp.
Any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, thanks for the
Thanks,
update.
Mike.
Next item on the agenda are staffing changes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So in your packet, you had a spreadsheet that highlighted the staffing changes, the teacher changes from building to building. I just want to highlight each building and go through some of them. So at our high school, we had 2 retirements, 3 teachers on a leave of absence. We have 1 new position, 1 non-renewal, and 7 resignations. I just want to speak to a couple of the resignations. One of the things that we pride ourselves on is teacher leadership and developing that. So 2 of our teachers, Heidi Black and Karen Reno, were both took administrative positions in other districts. So we were very sad to see them go, but if we don't have a position here for them, it's our job to help them get a position somewhere else in that regard. So we're really proud. Karen's over at Hopkinton as their K-12 wellness director, and Heidi is over at Norfolk County as their special education director. So we're happy for them. At Blake, we had 1 retirement, 2 leaves of absence, 1 non-renewal, 1 resignation, and 1 new. Again, the resignation there along the same lines, Corey Jacome took a leadership position at the Christy McAuliffe Charter School as a director of special education, so we're happy for her in that leadership role. Dale Street, we had 1 retirement and 1 new position. Wheelock, we had 1 resigned, 1 change of assignment, and 1 leave of absence. And at Memorial, we had 1 retirement, 1 leave of absence, 1 change of assignment, and 1 new. So the teacher orientation the last couple of days, last week, were great. Kim Cave did a fantastic job planning our induction and mentoring program. So the first day was really getting a sense of what we do in the district, meeting all of us and that. And then the second day was a technology boot camp, and they got to spend the afternoon with their mentors. So I'm really happy with that. We have a great group of mentors, as always, and some really excited teachers. Again, getting teachers from other districts where Medfield's a place they want to come to, so we're pleased with that. But I'll answer any questions you have on staffing changes, but fairly clear.
Okay.
I know that one of the things you did last spring was approve 2 out of the 3 contracts for AFL-CIO. The one that you did not approve was it wasn't completed yet, was the custodial group. So that contract is in your packet. Just to get a sense of what the increases were, it was 1.5 to 2 over the next 3 years. And there's language changes, as we discussed in executive session in the spring, that are in there. But to make that official, I would ask that you vote to approve that contract for the next 3 years.
Is there a motion to approve the contract?
So moved.
Second?
Seconded.
Approved.
Thank you. Old business, I have a few donations that I would like to share with you, and hopefully you'll approve those for us. Stop and Shop to Dale Street, $154.82 for A+ awards. Stop and Shop to Memorial School, $255.03 for A+ awards. And Medfield CPAC to Blake Middle School, $200 for auditorium sound system. I ask that you approve those so that we may accept them from the district.
Move to approve?
Second?
Second.
Approved.
Great, and we're really excited about the new sound system in Blake. It's certainly a long time coming, and I know that both the music folks and theater folks are pretty excited about that.
And
That was
parents,
that was a rough system in there, so we're happy about that. That's been, the coalition helped out, the PTO is great, so, and our budget, so thanks for all those groups, it's great. And I just have a few reports to report to you this evening. One is our opening. We had our opening today, really great breakfast by our food service, a lot of positive energy. We had the principals introduce each one of our new staff. Bonnie Wren Burgess, the MTA president, came up and gave a speech. I spoke after Bonnie, and then we had a raffle. So went really, really well. Teachers got some interesting gifts. I had that idea from other folks that DLD always has a raffle at the end, and I know Blake Middle School always has a raffle on their half days. So we tried to do one today, and we'll do it each year now going forward. But it was very well received. And one of the things that I did announce during my speech is I told the staff we did not get the Excel grant, as we had, you guys knew that. We were one of 36 districts that were being considered for that. We did not get it, so our Plan B was announced today, that we'll have a social emotional learning task force in the district, and we'll have representatives, we'll have students, teachers, parents, school committee, community members. And one of the things that we talked about on the agenda for the first year is student and staff wellness, looking at homework across the district and what the impact is, looking at schedules across the district, so that would be school schedules, also talking about parent schedules and student schedules outside of school and how that impacts the social emotional well-being of our kids, and talked a little bit about some of the recent data that we've gotten from the Metro West Adolescent Health Survey. So all that is going to be, we're excited about that. Teachers have already emailed me about being a part of that. I've had some parents that I talked to in the spring about it that are interested, something that we can talk about in the reorg next month as well, as the school committee rep would be on that. But, that's going to be, it's a big part of Medfield 2021, and certainly something that we're focused on, and this will be a way to get everyone engaged in that conversation. Not just at the school level, the district level, or school committee level, but we're going to have kids there and teachers and parents and everyone else. So we're excited about that, and really starting to look initially at the homework piece, and to look to see what some of the research, what are we doing homework district-wide, and how can we make that better for kids and families. So that was exciting. We're looking forward to that. We would have liked to participate in Excel, but I think this is a grassroots organic thing that the district will be really proud of and really help our kids. So.
And I think we've got some great resources.
No doubt.
With connections
No doubt.
in town, et cetera. And I'm really hoping, I think we talked about as well, training.
Mhm.
I feel that, there's this upper level training of recognizing, kids maybe who are struggling a bit more. And
Right.
some of these things that kids are suffering with are so secretive, but then there are special trainings that can go on that teachers are on the front lines.
Right.
And it would be great if teachers were trained to to recognize a lot of the very subtle signs.
Yes, I'm gonna go to the St. Jude's training.
On
the
September 13th.
The 13th. I'm going to that to get a sense of what that is. I've talked to Dave Wordley about it too. The police and fire have already done QPR.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but most of them have done that. So I want to get a little sense of that. And, you know, from what my conversation with Jim McCauley, it's just a couple hours, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's a 2-hour, but very helpful training for our teachers that can piggyback on the SOS assessments we're doing in 7th grade and 10th grade and 12th grade. So those kinds of things, you know, all together,
Yeah.
you know, working toward the goal, so.
Anna Mae, did you say that St. Edward's was also planning on bringing the training? Because I know that the St. Jude's training is
Is
on
on
the
the
back-to-school night for the Blake sixth grade.
6th
kid.
grade, it is, yeah.
Yeah, so St.
So
Edward's
St.
is
Ed's gonna
gonna
do it.
offer one again free to the community,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
everyone, you don't have to be a parishioner. This is again,
Right.
the community wants to partner with the schools because basically the schools can't solve everything, which is
Right.
fair. So, so I think the community definitely wants to get in and try and help with the outreach,
Mhm.
et cetera, so.
Mhm.
I think integration of our community resources could provide an amazingly solid platform for kids to go to. You know, that the schools, if we can work together with everyone that touches a kid's life,
Yeah.
that's going to be much more the key
Mhm.
than kind of parsing it out between agency and agency and agency.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
absolutely.
And then just an update on interface, because we had talked about that in MMA. I know that I brought that to the committee a while ago, and in my conversations with them, we are pretty close to going live on October 15th. So that would be something that would be a community-wide event. They have a press release that we can get out to the entire community, school, parents, and they want to schedule a meeting with us in the middle of September. They wanted everything to settle down with the start of school. But they're on board, you know, certainly, and that would be providing mental health resources for anyone in the community, not
Yeah.
just kids, anyone in the community, and I know that.
Based on your insurance, based on location, I mean, because if anyone's tried to
Specific
call
Right.
somebody.
Right,
Yeah,
based
no.
on need. So my colleagues in other districts that have this said that folks that have been waiting weeks for
Mhm.
assistance will get it within hours.
Yeah.
You know, within 2 to 3 hours.
Right.
Because of the contacts that they have. So I think that's, you know, something that we certainly need as a town and a district, and we're happy to facilitate that, so.
When it came to funding for that, the school department input some. Did the town and other entities within town
Yeah, we're
also do
still
that?
working on that part. We're
Okay.
in a position we could do the whole thing.
Okay.
But we're working on whether or not it becomes, as you know, we pay rent to the town for being on the 3rd floor. Town
Right.
pays rent to us from youth outreach, so we were working on something where we could, you know, not, and it's part of the FY17 closeout, you know, we won't return as much if we take this money, you know, so we're working that out. But the intent and what Interface wants is a 50-50 split between town and schools.
Well, I think that would be entirely appropriate, both
Yeah,
as
I
a
do
towns
too.
member as well as a school committee member.
Absolutely.
Not just responsibility-wise, but also in terms of fiscal responsibility, but also within a responsibility to all of the townspeople.
Mhm.
And messaging,
You know, it
yeah.
can't always be the schools.
Schools.
But from my perspective, it can't be a deal breaker either, so.
Right, no,
If we can't
absolutely
get
not.
the other 6, then we're just gonna go ahead and
Right.
figure it out.
Okay.
So
So-
thank you very much, that's
For
a huge
pursuing that,
aid,
yeah.
because that was a $12,000.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So that's it for the opening. I mean, I thought it went really well today. We have more PD tomorrow. Elementary's doing a lot of PD with the FOSS science kit, so they have a couple of sessions of that tomorrow. Secondary working with the departments and doing some things in their room, so certainly a great way for everyone to ease into the school year, having these first 2 days. You know, some districts do 1, some do 3. I think Medfield does a great job of the 2. It's a nice balance in getting the kids in, and we're starting year 2 of having the half day on Friday instead of the full day off. So we have our senior cruise on Thursday night, so that's always interesting to see who's late
See who
on
shows up.
Friday morning after we do that. But we're excited about that. In terms of enrollment, I mentioned to the staff today that we really saw a spike in new move-ins. So we have 100, as of today, 103
Oh. More
students that are
children than we
new
expected.
to Medfield.
Right. Those are
New to
kids
Medfield.
above and beyond what we expected
Correct.
across all 12.
Correct. So you see the breakdown in your packet. Memorial had the largest with 38 students. And you'll see the breakdown of AM, PM kindergarten, where they are, full day. There were some slots in full days at the time with some of these kids enrolled, so we did that, but full day's been closed off for a while. And then 15 in grade 1. Wheelock actually got 2 of the 3 today, so they're at 21. Dale Street at 12, Blake at 15, and the high school at 16. So the only concern that I have right now with this, and again, you can't predict where they're coming in, is that some of our classrooms in first grade, second grade, and third grade are a little higher than we like. And what does that mean? There are a couple of classrooms with 24, a couple with 25 in those grade levels, and that's a lot for little ones. So if this trend continues, when we look at FY19, we're going to have to really look at whether or not we start adding positions back in those lower levels.
Right.
Because we like to keep it around 20, 21, 22, not 24, 25. So that's something that we're going to have to see. If real estate keeps going the way it is, the turnover, and Medfield still being the place to move in, then we're going to have to add those positions next year, and we'll have a pretty good sense of that in the spring. Because if it were up to me, we'd add them right now, because I don't think anyone wants 24, 25 kids in the classroom.
Right.
So we have to really watch closely on that, especially if we have additional, with the condos going in up on North Street, over by the hospital.
Hospital.
Yeah, so the condos going in there, up there, we'll have to look at,
There's
what
just a
that's
whole lot
gonna
of turnover.
A lot.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
if you're listening to any kind of social media chatter, it is quite literally 1, 2, 3 a day, and moving in next
Yeah.
week and
Yeah.
moving in
Right.
next week. Yeah.
Yeah, so over the weekend, I got 2 emails from parents that signed PNSs over the weekend. So
Right.
one signed Friday night, one signed Saturday. And some districts don't let people if they have a signed PNS come, which I think is ridiculous. If you have a signed PNS, you've made a commitment to the town. And why would you want a kid to start another place knowing that in a few weeks they're gonna go somewhere else? So we've always let them come in and do that. So we did that for Wednesday. There were a bunch coming in that have signed PNSs that are coming in. Some of them are living in Dedham for a couple of weeks, Walpole for a couple of weeks, but they have a signed PNS. So
It's also interesting how much kind of local move I've seen and heard
Within
about
town,
that-
right?
Or not only within town, but also towns that are, communities that are quite close to us, but
Mhm.
really feel as though Medfield is the place that they want to raise their kids. And I think that we have a responsibility to those folks as well as
No
the kids
question.
who already live here,
Yeah, no question.
to keep things in
So
one place.
just to give you a sense, we were at 2,600 at October 1st last year. We're starting right now at 2,663. So again, that graduating class is a little bit higher, and the incoming kindergarten is about 176, 178, so it's a little smaller, so that's where you get the discrepancy. You have 103 more kids, it doesn't equal 100 more kids in the enrollment because of the graduating seniors. But just to go through, at the high school right now, grade 9 has 203, grade 10, 211, grade 11, 194, and grade 12 is the largest in the district with 231 right now. And there's that small group that we have, the current grade 4, grade 5, and grade 3. So they're at 182 or 183, those 3 grade levels. But you go to grade 2, it's 195, and then grade 1 is now 193. So we have that group going through, which is the current 3, 4, and 5, which are the smaller classrooms, but right behind them are just like what we're graduating in the upper 190s.
And those classes have increased by about 20 kids, haven't they? Because I seem to remember
have.
when we started
They
Yeah,
have.
they were a lot
kindergarten for
smaller.
the incoming 4th.
So
were
they're
at
more like the current
160.
Blake. So
Yeah.
Blake right now is
Yeah.
195, 217, and 209. So we're getting back to, again, we talked about this last year with NESDEC. NESDEC predicted that within 10 years, we'd be back to the 3,000 number. So we got a plan for that. But any questions? Any of that? I'll keep you
No.
updated on that, especially in the younger grades where if we have additional move-ins the next couple of weeks, which could happen,
Yeah.
we'll have to be very careful with that.
Now, Jeff, at the high school, I think I was here the other morning, and I think there was a big crew of international kids. What, six
We do. We have
kids or something? around?
five international students from China, 1 from Spain, and there's one other. So I think we have 7 total.
Yeah.
at the high
No,
school.
That's wonderful.
Mhm.
That was great.
And then just to give you an update on the MSBA meeting we had, for those that don't know, we were contacted by MSBA that we were gonna be, they want to come visit and check out Dale Street. So we did the SOI, There were 82 SOIs submitted in the state, and essentially we made the last 44. So the last 44 is when you go and visit. And we had a great meeting, a couple hours. Tim Bonfatti came, Michael was there, Steve Brenham. It was great because there was the third in charge at MSBA, and they had done a couple projects with Michael, so they knew Michael, they had done those in Dedham. Of course, they knew Tim, so that worked out really well. Great conversation. They left saying there's no doubt you need a new school, but they gave us some really good information that we really didn't know. One of the things they said is, so the legislature gives you that set amount of money, and whatever that amount of money is, they base the projects on that. So they said, if we have a sum, and high schools cost more than the elementary schools, and we have to do 4, 5, 6, 7 high schools out of the 15 we approve, that's gonna eat up a lot of the money. So you have a less chance of being funded as an elementary school if we have additional high schools. But if it's a year where they look and there's 10 elementary schools that really need it, then we're in better shape. So and it really had nothing to do with whether you're a priority 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, because what they said is, you could be a priority 6 that's in worse shape than a priority 2, and we're gonna fund the 6 over the 2. It really is the actual need of that district, which was some new information for us, that's the way they're doing it. So they told us to hold tight. They're gonna be visiting all the other schools, and they will let us know by Thanksgiving if we're gonna be invited to go to the next round. They said it has nothing to do with your SOI, it has nothing to do with anything, it's who you're up against. So if you're up against many districts that have similar schools, you're in good shape. But they gave us examples of a couple of towns that have some really difficult places for kids to go right now. She said, it's their first year in the SOI, they're gonna get funded. So we could do it 4, 5, 6, 7 times and not get funded, but that number 1 comes up and it's really bad, which the one she described was really bad, then they'll fund those. So it's just kind of a waiting game right now. If they let us know in November whether or not they'll have a board meeting in December to recommend, and then all that process would start. So that would be feasibility study, all of that. So we would have to, I think they were very positive with us, but they were only the second school they visited, so they had 42 left to visit, so we'll see how that goes. I've reached out to our local legislation, let them know about it. They were very positive, said, you know what, let us know what we can do. We'll call who we need to call and do that. So we're gonna keep doing that, because I don't wanna be in a situation where we were the second one they visited, and then 3 months down the line, we forgot about who that second one they visited because they've seen so many other ones. So just kinda keep us in mind type of thing, so
And
it's
then what's
exciting.
the process, should they not approve us, say, this year or whatever, then they
starts all
continue
over
putting
again.
us, so we have to do another SOI,
right.
and then
Right.
that could take another,
Mhm.
okay. And just
I mean, the
keep
good
on
thing is they
going.
came to visit us. That's
Right.
a great
Right.
positive step, and we'll see where that takes us. But they left, no, we took them everywhere. We took them down in the basement with the dirt floors, and we took them everywhere. They got to see it all. They got a
Isn't there a
firsthand
bomb
look.
shelter?
The bomb shelter, all through that.
Bomb shelter.
But that was part of our conversation, is that's what made Wi-Fi difficult in there to begin with, because it was built for a bomb shelter. So Owen has done a lot of work in there to make sure that our kids have Wi-Fi access, but it wasn't easy. It's not like here. You know, it's very difficult in a place built in the 40s for a bomb shelter, you know. But it went well, and, you know, certainly keep you up to date once they get us, but Tim felt it went well as well. He was here, I know we had a last-minute meeting he told us about tonight, but he would have, maybe the next meeting, give us an update in his perspective, because he
So
thought it went pretty well.
The next round if you're accepted into the next round, it's the feasibility studies and
Right,
all
go
that
through
kind
all
of
that.
stuff, okay.
Right.
So
Where
we're
they
still
determine
looking at-
whether or
And how long
not,
does that-
you know, do you rebuild, do you gut it and refurbish the whole thing? They talk about that and go through it. I mean, they
I
felt
can't
like it
really
was a
see gutting
rebuild.
that building, but I
Yeah.
you know, I'm not a builder, I
Right,
just like,
right, right.
Yeah, they
It's-
felt it was a redo.
yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
raise.
Right.
But that, you know, that was one architect and one person, so,
Yeah,
from
yeah.
MSBA, they'll have the whole team that will come in and do that afterwards, so we'll see how that goes. But positive, I mean, certainly farther than we've gotten in the process before, so we'll see how it goes. And that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay, so does anyone have anything? Anything?
Oh, I want to, during the summer, you know, a lot of the kids, 30 kids went to the Galapagos, and I want to thank all those teachers. took them. They had a phenomenal
They had a
time.
great time.
How lucky are these children?
Little seasick on the boat, but. other than
Oh
that-
yeah, no, it was kind of nasty, but that's okay. They
Mhm.
got to see giant sea turtles lie next to sea lions, so
Great. It was great.
getting a
Little
little
bone eye will
seasick
cure
is
that.
fine.
Right.
But I suppose new school year, new beginnings, so I think
Right.
it'll be great. Thank you.
I have nothing,
Okay.
except I'm looking forward to so many of the social emotional stuff that we are gonna be doing in the next year, looking
Ditto.
at schedules and everything else, because it's
Mhm.
not just social emotional, it's the entire child, and it promotes their learning, and that's what we're all supposed to be here for.
Okay, so for future agenda items are the student activity policy, wellness policy, the fiscal year 17 closeout, and the principal opening reports.
So if I could just, on the wellness policy piece, the wellness group has been, I mean, they were meeting all of last year, and they actually had a completed policy a couple of years ago, but have done some updates to it. So we'll have those folks, once we establish a subcommittee at the reorg next month,
Right.
take a look at it, and then have them come and present. You know, Kathy Thompson and Sue Kyle have been doing a lot of work with that, so they've done a great job with that. And then the student activity one, you know, Michael has been working on that, and there's some things that we need to change with that policy. And again, we'll do that through subcommittee as well.
Okay.
But then bring it forward.
Jeff, when can we expect to hear about the Metro West survey? The results?
I would say after, Sue and I are gonna meet on that and plan that out a little bit, but I would say October.
Okay.
You know, I just, like I said, I shared some of the results today with the teachers, but I think we'll do a full presentation of that with parents, et cetera.
Okay, good.
Do the same thing.
All right, great, thank you.
And are there any Medfield Speaks?
We have a meeting coming up next week, the week
Presentations,
after.
okay.
Yeah, we have a meeting where we're kind of mapping that out. We have some tentative dates and tentative speakers, but nothing's done yet.
All right,
Yeah, we'll do the same thing, though. We'll have another series this year.
great.
Yep.
I love the idea of involving the whole community, you know, because it's not just homework, it's all the extras that kids do and are so expected of everybody to
lot.
do. It's the 4 hours of soccer and 3 hours of hockey and 2 hours of band practice.
It's a lot.
everything combined that's expected of these kids. I think that it's overwhelming as a parent, never
And
mind as a
it's
kid.
younger and younger and younger.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I mean, I
It
think
is.
that a lot of what you just described was really a high school issue for a
Right.
long time,
But
and
it's
it's
not.
gone down to.
And now it's the
elementary.
kindergartner going to 2 hours of practice.
It's the third graders
and-
going
yep.
to hockey
Yep.
at,
It is, it is.
5:30 in the morning. That's
And
when
I
their day
like
starts.
the parental education piece, because I've been guilty of it myself, is, you
Oh,
know, you gotta go to
absolutely.
this practice, you gotta practice this. And, you know, and homework is a piece of that practice, but I think that looking at the entire picture, and the parental education
Yeah.
piece of it, I think is so good, so. And for the next meeting, the rail, the Bay Circuit Trail.
Right, we'll put that- I've already put that on
Vote
there.
and the reorg. And so if there's a motion to adjourn for this evening until September 18th,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. All,
Thank you.
all of you.
All of you.
The preceding was a production of Medfield TV, Community Show.